Anyone got any good conspiracy theories? All of mine are coming true.
First tonight, new details from a document produced by Chinese military scientists where they discuss weaponizing SARS coronaviruses 5 years before the pandemic hit. The book was written by People's Liberation Army scientists and senior Chinese public health officials back in 2015. It describes SARS coronaviruses as heralding, and I quote, a new era of genetic weapons. It says they can be artificially manipulated into an emerging human disease virus, weaponized and unleashed in a way never seen before. One of the authors of this book is the former Deputy Director of China's Bureau of Epidemic Prevention, Li Feng, and the editor-in-chief of the paper, Zhu Dezhong, was the leader of the SARS Epidemic Analysis Expert Group under the Chinese Ministry of Health. He reported to the top leadership of the Chinese Military Commission and the Health Ministry during the 2003 SARS crisis. He briefed them 24 times. He also prepared 3 reports for the General Office of the Communist Party's Central Committee and the General Office of the State Council. He gave 2 big interviews on Chinese state TV and appeared in 6 news articles. He was responsible for 16 national and military command topics. Now, just to be clear, before I go on and bring you new information from this document, while intelligence agencies suspect, and they've been investigating this since early last year, that COVID-19 may be the result of an accidental leak from a Wuhan lab, there's no suggestion it was an intentional release. The significance of this paper is that it offers a rare insight into how senior scientists at one of the PLA's most prominent military universities, where high levels of defence research are conducted, were thinking about biological research. This Chinese language paper is called The Unnatural Origin of SARS and New Species of Man-Made Viruses as Genetic Weapons. That's its title. And it says, following developments in other scientific fields, there have been major advances in the delivery of biological agents. For example, the newfound ability to freeze-dry microorganisms has made it possible to store biological agents and aerosolize them during attacks. In this document, unbelievably, there's a whole section on the best conditions under which to release a biological attack. It says this: bioweapon attacks are best conducted during dawn, dusk, night, or cloudy weather because intense sunlight can damage the pathogens. It says biological agents should be released during dry weather. Rain or snow can cause the aerosol particles to precipitate. And it says a stable wind direction is desirable so it can float into the target area. The book notes as well how a sudden surge of patients requiring hospitalization during a bioweapon attack, and this is a quote, could cause the enemy's medical system to collapse. It then goes on to talk about the potential need for isolation and quarantine. Here's more from it. Large-scale biological weapon attacks can cause many indirect consequences in addition to human casualties. Major impacts include enormous burden on healthcare system. Well, we've seen that. Biological weapon attacks have a much prolonged effect than conventional attacks like explosion. It may also carry highly contagious diseases that can be transmitted through various means. The document also talks about the psychological terror that bioweapons can cause. It's chilling. It says biological weapons will not only cause widespread morbidity and mass casualties, but also include formidable psychological pressure that could affect combat effectiveness. Just like other disasters, people will live under fear of attack for a considerable period of time, causing brief or lasting psychological impairment among some. In other words, it goes on, attacks using biological weapons can cause acute and chronic psychological and mental illnesses, such as acute stress reactions. Now, among the most bizarre claim in this document is the theory by the authors, and there were 18 authors, most of them linked to this high-risk military university. They claim, and it's a conspiracy theory, that the first SARS from 2003 was a man-made bioweapon deliberately unleashed on China by terrorists. Of course, scientific consensus holds that SARS was of natural origin and that it crossed the xenographic barrier from palm civets to humans, likely through the sale of wild animals in wet markets. So this is a very odd conspiracy theory for a senior Chinese military scientist to be pushing about the SARS pandemic of 2003. And it's very similar to China now claiming that the COVID-19 pandemic was brought into Wuhan in frozen food or by the American military. These are conspiracy theories that the World Health Organization irresponsibly gave credence to in its recent whitewash of an investigation.